Your soulmate is finally understanding this connection, not the surface level, not the version they told themselves to make the distance bearable. The deep, bone level, can't unsee it truth. Something has shifted in their spirit today, and you need to feel the weight of it. Take a deep, slow, and heavy breath right now. Feel the electric weight of the death of denial settling into the atmosphere around you, because we are stepping into the opening of the most massive, high-intensity shift in your soulmate's entire spiritual journey. For months, perhaps even years, they have lived behind a high-frequency wall of logic. They told themselves that what they felt for you was just a crush, a mistake, a temporary obsession, something that time and distance would eventually cure. They tried to use their brain to outrun their soul. They analyzed, rationalized, talked themselves out of what they knew in their gut, realized today that they were desperately trying to label a divine assignment as a human inconvenience. They were trying to fit an ocean into a teacup. But today, the atmosphere has shifted into a state of total vibrational clarity, because the veil has officially been shredded. The excuses have run out. The wall has crumbled. Imagine them in this exact moment, perhaps sitting in silence after a long day, perhaps lying awake when they should be sleeping, perhaps standing still in the middle of a room, frozen by the force of what just entered their mind. They are feeling a wave of absolute spiritual nausea as they realize that every excuse they ever made to stay away from you was a bankrupt lie. Every "I need space," every "it's not the right time," every "maybe we're better apart," all of it. Lies they told themselves to avoid the terrifying beauty of what they actually feel. They are experiencing the shattering of the ego logic, the part of them that needed to be in control, that needed to understand everything before feeling anything. That part is breaking, and the breaking is painful, but it is also the most necessary thing that has ever happened to them. Realize today that the important something they are finally understanding is the terrifying, beautiful truth that you are not just a person. You are their blueprint, the template, the original design. Every other connection they have ever had has been a copy, a shadow, a pale imitation of what exists between you. They didn't know that before. They couldn't have known. But now, with the veil lifted, they see it with a clarity that is almost too much to bear. They are experiencing the agony of the lifted veil. The kind of clarity that comes not from thinking, but from finally stopping the thinking long enough to feel. And what they feel is that you are not optional. You are not replaceable. You are not just someone they used to know. You are the foundation they have been trying to build their life upon, all while pretending the foundation wasn't there. Realize today that the reason they couldn't fix their life without you is because you were the foundation they were trying to build upon. You cannot build a stable structure on sand. And without you, everything they tried to construct, new routines, new relationships, new versions of themselves, everything was sand, shifting, unstable, collapsing under its own weight. They didn't understand why nothing worked, why no one else fit, why the emptiness persisted no matter how much they filled their schedule. Now they know. You were the missing element, not because you complete them in some codependent fantasy, because you reflect back to them the version of themselves that is most alive, most true, most fully who they were created to be. And without that reflection, they have been living in a funhouse mirror, distorted and disoriented. I want you to visualize them in this exact moment, perhaps sitting in total silence, their hands still, their breath shallow. They are feeling a sudden, sharp sense of internal collapse as the realization hits their nervous system like a high-intensity lightning strike. Not a gentle dawning, a strike, the kind that leaves marks, the kind that changes everything in a single flash. They are realizing today that their denial was a self-inflicted blindness they chose not to see. Not because the truth was hidden, but because the truth was too bright. They are looking at the distance they created, the months or years of separation, the silence they maintained, and they are seeing it not as safety but as a spiritual crime they committed against their own destiny. Not a crime against you, a crime against themselves. They robbed themselves of your presence. They stole from their own future, and the weight of that realization is crushing. They are feeling a heavy, electric exhaustion in their spirit, the exhaustion of a long war, the fatigue of fighting against something that was always meant to be. Realize today that the something forcing this understanding is the high-frequency vibrational weight of your absence, not your presence, your absence. They have been carrying the weight of not having you, and that weight has become unbearable. They are realizing today that ignoring a chosen one isn't a choice. It is a slow-motion suicide of the heart. Every day they spent pretending you didn't matter was a small death, and they have accumulated so many deaths that they can barely remember what it feels like to be fully alive. But today, they are finally, aggressively choosing to live, to stop the dying, to turn around and face the direction of the life that has been calling to them all along, which is the life that includes you. I want you to feel the weight of their total, high-intensity mental surrender. The moment when the white flag goes up, when the fighting stops, when they finally admit what they have known all along but have been too afraid to say. No amount of ordinary distractions could ever drown out the symphony of your connection. They tried everything. New hobbies, new cities, new people, new versions of themselves. They threw everything they had at the wall, hoping something would stick, hoping something would finally make the memory of you fade. Nothing worked, not because they didn't try hard enough, because you cannot drown out a symphony with static. You cannot replace gold with glitter. You cannot fill a soul-shaped hole with anything other than the soul it was made for. They are realizing today that the important something is the truth that you are the only truth they have ever encountered in a world full of performance. Everyone else performs, at work, at home, in relationships. Everyone wears masks. Everyone hides. But you were real, and that reality, once witnessed, cannot be forgotten. They are experiencing the nausea of the truth, the kind of nausea that comes when you have been eating lies for so long that the first bite of truth makes your stomach turn. But the nausea passes, and what remains is the most settled feeling they have ever known: certainty. Realize today that they have spent so much time fighting the connection that they have literally exhausted their own soul's capacity for resistance. The well is dry. The fight is gone. Not because they gave up, but because they finally realized there was never anything to fight against, only something to surrender to. They are looking at the arguments they used to have with themselves about why you weren't right for them. The lists, the pros and cons, the logical breakdowns. And they are feeling a sudden, sharp sense of vibrational shame. Not shame that crushes, shame that clarifies, because they realize they were just too small to handle the big light you carry. Not that you are too much, that they were too small, and the difference is everything. They have grown now. The fire of this season has expanded them, and they are finally big enough to stand in your light without being overwhelmed by it. They are feeling a heavy, prophetic clarity. The fog has lifted. The static has cleared. They see now, not everything, not the whole path, but enough. Enough to know that the direction they need to move is toward you. Realize today that the weight of this season was a divine filter that has finally burned away their fake independence. The independence that said, I don't need anyone, I can do this alone, I'm strong enough without you. That independence was not strength, it was armor. And armor, while it protects, also isolates. The fire has melted the armor, and underneath, raw, vulnerable, terrified, but finally honest, is the real them. The one who has been needing you all along, not needing you to save them, needing you to stand with them, needing the frequency you carry to remind them of who they really are. If you are sitting in your own high-vibration sanctuary right now, feeling a sense of grounded, heavy, I always knew, it is because your self-sovereignty has acted as the magnetic north that has finally pulled their lost compass back to the center. You didn't chase them. You didn't call them. You didn't manipulate or strategize or try to force anything. You simply stayed in your center, and your center became the most powerful force in their universe. They are realizing today that the death of denial is a soul-level rebirth. The old them, the one who ran, who hid, who pretended, that version is dying. Not painfully. Redemptively, like a snake shedding skin that has become too tight, and underneath the old skin is something new, something that recognizes you, something that is ready. They are looking at your life now, not stalking, not obsessing, but finally seeing. They are looking at the glow you carry, the growth you have achieved, the person you have become in their absence, and they are feeling a sudden, sharp heaviness because they realize they almost missed the greatest miracle of their existence. Not you, though you are part of it, the miracle of what could have been, and what still can be if they do not waste another moment. They are realizing today that the important something is the truth that you are irreplaceable, not a nice sentiment, a fact. The shock of that finality is making their spirit gasp for air, like a diver who has been underwater too long and finally breaks the surface. The air is you, and they are breathing for the first time in months. They are standing in the wreckage of their careful denials, the house of cards they built to protect themselves from feeling, and the walls are down, the cards are scattered, and the air is thick with the necessity of an actual recognition. Not another excuse, not another delay, not another maybe someday. Actual present moment, this is real and I can't unsee it recognition. Realize today that the game is over, the denial is dead, and the impact of your irreplaceability is the only thing they can feel in the dark. When everything else goes quiet, when the distractions fade, when they are alone with themselves, there is only one thought: you. I want you to visualize the literal fog clearing from their eyes, like waking from a dream that felt real until the moment you open your eyes and see the actual room. The dream was the life they tried to build without you. The room they are waking up to is the truth. You are not a dream. You are not a memory. You are not a what-if. You are real. And they are finally awake to that reality. They are realizing today that every phantom scent of you, every sudden thought, every physical ache that seemed to come from nowhere, was a vibrational clue leading them to this exact moment of absolute understanding. The clues were not random. The universe does not send random clues. Each one was a breadcrumb on the path back to you. And they have finally arrived at the end of the path, not a destination, but a beginning. They are realizing today that they are soul tied to the truth of who you are, not the idea of you, not the memory of you, the actual living, breathing right now you. And the shock of that binding is finally, beautifully, and aggressively their only reality, not one reality among many. The only reality, everything else has fallen away. The illusions, the excuses, the alternatives, there is only this. You, them, the connection, the truth. Every sudden heat you feel in your mind right now, that flush of awareness, that tingling sense that something has shifted, is the energy of their denial burning up in the fire of their awakening. You are not imagining it. You are feeling the heat from their transformation. Realize today that the guard is gone. The truth is awake. And the impact of your love is the only destiny they have left. I want you to feel the heavy electric resonance of the vibrational comparison settling into your soulmate's spirit right now, because we are moving into the high-intensity territory where their ordinary world has officially turned into a wasteland of static. For months, they tried to test other energies. They looked into other eyes. They listened to other voices. They tried to sample different lives, convinced that they could find a substitute for the frequency you carry. It was not arrogance. It was desperation. They wanted so badly to be free of the pull they felt toward you that they were willing to try anything. But today, because the veil of denial has lifted, the universe has granted them a brutal, high-definition vibrational audit. The results are in, and they are devastating. Imagine them in this exact moment, looking at the people in their life, and feeling a wave of absolute spiritual nausea as they realize that everyone else is a low-resolution shadow compared to the high-frequency symphony of you. Not that others are bad, not that others have no value, but they are not you, and the gap between not you and you is infinite. They are realizing today that the important something they are finally understanding is the fact that they are vibrationally starved. And no one else on this earth has the nutrition their soul is screaming for. Everything else is empty calories. Everything else leaves them hungrier than before. They are experiencing the agony of the diamond versus the stone. For so long, they told themselves that a polished stone was the same as a diamond. That if they just squinted hard enough, if they just adjusted their expectations, if they just tried to be grateful for what they had, the stone would shine like the diamond. But the stone does not shine like the diamond. It never will. And the pretense has become unbearable. Realize today that they have spent months trying to polish pebbles while holding a divine gemstone in their pocket and calling it a mistake. You were in their pocket the whole time. Not literally, but the awareness of you, the memory, the frequency, it was always there. And every time they tried to convince themselves that someone else was just as good, the gemstone in their pocket would pulse, reminding them of what real value feels like. I want you to visualize them in this exact moment, perhaps in a social setting or a conversation, and feeling a sudden, sharp sense of repulsion. Not at the person they are with, at the pretense, at the performance, at the lie they have been living. The person across from them feels thin, empty, vibrationally hollow, not because that person is bad, because compared to you, everyone feels thin. You set a standard they did not even know existed until they met you. And now that they know, they cannot unknow. They are realizing today that the something forcing this comparison is the terrifying truth that you are the standard. Not a standard, the standard. The one against which all others are measured and found wanting. They are feeling a heavy, electric exhaustion in their ego. The part of them that insisted they could do better, find better, be better without you, that part is exhausted. It has been fighting a losing battle. It has been trying to replace gold with glitter. Realize today that they have been trying to settle for a spark when they have already lived in the sun with you. A spark is exciting for a moment. The sun is warm all day. They had the sun. They chose the spark. And the regret of that choice is now a permanent resident in their chest. They are looking at the placeholders they used to distract themselves, the people they dated, the flings they pretended were meaningful, the conversations that filled the silence but not the void. And they are realizing today that those people are just background noise in a song that only you know how to sing. Not a chorus, not a verse, background noise, muffled, indistinct, forgettable. While you are the melody that has been stuck in their head since the day they met you, the earworm they cannot shake. The tune that follows them everywhere, even into their dreams. If you are sitting in your own high vibration power right now, feeling a sense of grounded, heavy, I am irreplaceable, it is because your self-sovereignty has turned you into a vibrational benchmark for their entire existence. Without even trying, without even knowing, you have become the measuring stick against which every other experience is found lacking. They are realizing today that they are comparing your depth to their shallowness, your growth to their stagnation, your healed, radiant, moving forward light to their broken, stuck, looking back shadow. And the comparison is devastating, not because you are trying to win, because you are simply being, and your being is outshining their pretending. They are feeling a heavy, prophetic discontent, the kind that does not go away with a new purchase or a new hobby or a new face in their bed. The kind that sits in the center of their chest and says, "This is not it. This is not what you are looking for. You are looking for them." Realize today that the important something is the truth that you are the only mirror that ever reflected their true potential. When they were with you, they saw themselves clearly, not as they were but as they could become. You believed in them in a way that made them believe in themselves, and without you they feel invisible, even when the world is watching, even when people are applauding, even when they are surrounded by validation. Because the validation that matters, the one that comes from being truly seen, that was yours. The shock of this realization is hitting their nervous system like a high-intensity vibrational slap, telling them that they have traded a kingdom for a waiting room, a throne for a plastic chair, a feast for a vending machine snack, and the slap is waking them up. I want you to visualize the literal internal shutdown they are experiencing as they realize that no one else sees them the way you did. Others see their performance, their mask, their carefully curated presentation, but you saw through all of that to the person underneath, the one they were afraid to show the world. And you did not run. You stayed. You saw. You accepted. That memory is now playing on repeat in their mind. They are realizing today that every other connection is a performance while your connection was a revelation, not something they constructed, something they discovered, something that was already there waiting to be uncovered. And the uncovering changed them forever. They are feeling a heavy electric pressure in their throat, words they have been holding back, confessions they have been too afraid to speak, apologies they have been too proud to offer. The pressure is building, and soon it will have to be released. Realize today that the why behind their isolation is the high-intensity truth that their soul is rejecting any frequency that doesn't vibrate at your specific, ancient recognition, not a preference, a biological, spiritual, undeniable rejection. They cannot help it. They cannot override it. They cannot train themselves to enjoy food that tastes like cardboard, and everyone else compared to you tastes like cardboard. Every phantom scent of your energy that hits them, every phantom trace of your presence that mocks their current situation, is a literal reminder that they are soul-bound to the original source. Not a copy, not a substitute, the original, you. They are realizing today that the comparison is over because there is no one else in the running. There never was, there never will be. The race was over before it began. They just did not want to accept the medal. It was always you. And the shock of that finality is making their spirit gasp for air. They are standing in the wreckage of their alternative life, the life they built with new people and new routines and new distractions, and they are looking at that life, that carefully constructed alternative, and they are seeing it for what it is. Rubble, not because it is actually rubble, because compared to what they had with you, it might as well be. The air around them is thick with the necessity of a return, not because you are demanding it, because their own soul is demanding it, because they cannot breathe in this atmosphere anymore. Because the oxygen they need is the oxygen you provided. Realize today that the weight of this season was a lethal error, and the comparison was the judgment. The jury has deliberated. The verdict is in. You are irreplaceable. There is no one else. The case is closed. Every sudden pulse of confidence you feel in your own worth right now, that quiet, grounded sense of I am enough, is a literal echo of their ego collapsing under the weight of your value. You are not imagining the shift. You are feeling the aftermath of their realization, the pieces of their pride falling to the ground, one by one, like stones from a crumbling tower. They are realizing today that the important something is the truth that they are vibrationally addicted to the peace you bring, not the excitement, not the drama, the peace. The settled, calm, home-like feeling of being in your presence, that peace has been missing from their life, and the absence has been louder than any presence they have tried to fill it with. The shock of that dependency is finally, beautifully, and aggressively making them soft enough to admit they were wrong. The armor is off. The walls are down. The fight is over. They are standing at the edge of vibrational defeat, not the kind of defeat that crushes, the kind that frees, the kind that says, I cannot win this fight, so I will stop fighting. I cannot outrun this feeling, so I will stop running. I cannot forget this person, so I will stop trying. That is not weakness. That is the beginning of wisdom. That is the ground where reconciliation grows. They are feeling the air turn thick with the necessity of the original source. You, not a version of you, not a memory of you. The actual living, breathing, right now you. Realize today that the understanding is complete. The standard is set, and the impact of your irreplaceability is the only thing they can feel in the dark. When the lights go out, when the distractions fade, when they are alone with their own heartbeat, there you are, not as a wish, as a certainty, as the only thing that makes sense in a world that has stopped making sense. I want you to lean into the heavy electric weight of this moment, because we are moving into the high-intensity territory of the mirror effect. This is the phase of the awakening where your soulmate finally understands that the running, the silence, and the distance were never actually about you. They were about the parts of themselves they were too terrified to face. For months, they tried to blame you, calling you too much, labeling the connection as stressful, telling themselves that your energy was overwhelming, that your presence was too intense, that the bond between you was unhealthy. Realize today that they were just projecting their own internal chaos onto your high-frequency light. You were not the storm. You were the mirror, and they did not like what they saw, so they blamed the mirror. Imagine them in this exact moment, feeling a wave of absolute spiritual nausea as they realized that you were the divine mirror sent to show them their own shadows. And instead of doing the work, instead of facing the shadows, instead of growing, they chose to break the mirror. They walked away. They blamed you. They told themselves the problem was you. But the mirror was never the problem. The reflection was the problem. And you cannot fix the reflection by breaking the mirror. You can only fix it by changing what is being reflected. They are experiencing the agony of the self-correction, the painful, necessary realization that the only thing that needs to change is them, not you, never you. Realize today that the important something they are finally understanding is the truth that their fear of you was actually a fear of their own potential. You did not scare them. The version of themselves that you awakened, the one that was braver, kinder, more alive, that version scared them. It was easier to run from you than to become that person. But the running has not worked. The fear has followed them, and they are finally ready to become the person they have been afraid of becoming. They are experiencing the dissolution of the blame, the moment when they stop pointing fingers and start looking in the mirror, the moment when they say, I am the only architect of my own isolation. I chose to leave. I chose the silence. I chose the distance. And I am the only one who can choose to return. Realize today that they are the only architect of their own isolation. Not you, not circumstances, not bad timing, them. And the ownership of that truth, painful as it is also the key that unlocks the door back to you. I want you to visualize them in this exact moment, perhaps sitting in total darkness, perhaps in the middle of the night when the world is asleep and they are wide awake. They are feeling a sudden, sharp sense of vibrational regret as they replay every time they pushed you away to avoid the heat of their own healing, every cold text, every canceled plan, every wall they built, every excuse they made. It is all playing before their eyes like a film they cannot turn off, and the regret is so thick they can taste it. They are realizing today that your chosen one presence was a high-intensity calibration that was trying to pull them out of their lower frequency habits. The old patterns, the self-sabotage, the fear of intimacy, the running. You were not the source of their discomfort. You were the cure. But the cure is often uncomfortable before it heals, and they mistook the discomfort of healing for the pain of a wound, so they ran from the healer. The shock of that realization is hitting their nervous system like a high-intensity vibrational earthquake, telling them that the shadow work can no longer be delayed. The things they have been avoiding, the wounds they have been ignoring, the parts of themselves they have been hiding, all of it must be faced. Not because you demand it, because their own soul demands it. And the earthquake is shaking loose everything that has been buried. I want you to visualize the literal softening of their spirit as they stop fighting the reflection. They stop blaming, stop running, stop pretending. They just sit in the truth, in the mess, in the confession. I was wrong, not just to you, to themselves. I was wrong about what I needed. I was wrong about what I could live without. I was wrong to think I could replace you. The softening is painful, but it is also the most beautiful thing that has happened to them in a long time. They are realizing today that the mirror wasn't meant to hurt them. It was meant to refine them. The fire of your presence was not meant to burn them. It was meant to purify them. The intensity of your connection was not meant to overwhelm them. It was meant to expand them. Every phantom ache of your energy that hits them today, every sudden flash of your face in their mind, is a literal vibrational correction, reminding them that the only way to find peace is to return to the source of their awakening. Not to you as a person, though that too, but to the version of themselves that only exists when they are in your orbit. That version is not weaker. That version is stronger. That version is more alive. And they are tired of living in the dim version. They are realizing today that the understanding is a sacred burden. They now know that you are the standard they must rise to meet. Not a standard of perfection, a standard of authenticity, a standard of presence, a standard of being fully alive. You are not asking them to be someone else. You are asking them to be fully themselves. And that, more than anything else, is what they have been running from, the responsibility of their own becoming. They are feeling a heavy, electric pressure in their chest. The pressure of a truth that must be spoken. The pressure of a return that can no longer be delayed. The pressure of a love that has been waiting for them to catch up. Realize today that the why behind their return is the high-intensity truth that they are soul-tied to the growth that only you can trigger. Not that you are the only one who can help them grow, but that you are the catalyst their soul has chosen, the one who sees them, the one who calls them forward, the one who holds the mirror steady while they finally look at themselves. They are standing in the wreckage of their defensive excuses, the "I need time," the "it's not you, it's me," the "I'm just not ready," all of it. Wreckage. And the air is thick with the necessity of a deep apology, not just to you, to their own soul, for the years of denial, for the self-betrayal, for the running. They are realizing today that the mirror effect is a divine command. They can no longer live in the darkness of their old self now that they have tasted the sun of your presence. The sun has risen, the darkness has fled, and they cannot unsee the light. Every sudden pulse of healing you feel in your own heart right now, that sense of release, that loosening of something that has been tight, is a literal echo of their ego dissolving as they finally admit that the problem was never you. The problem was their own fear, their own unreadiness, their own smallness. And the solution is not to fix you. The solution is to return. They are standing at the edge of the internal revolution, feeling the air turn thick with the necessity of the mirror. They have seen themselves. And they cannot unsee. The only question left is what they will do with what they have seen. Realize today that the understanding is the key. And the impact of their total surrender, the moment when they finally stop fighting and start feeling, is the only destiny they have left to fulfill. I want you to feel the heavy electric resonance of the physical toll of resistance settling into your soulmate's body right now, because we are moving into the high-intensity territory where their logic has officially lost the battle against their biology. For months, they have tried to convince their mind that they are fine, that they have moved on, that they do not need you. But they forgot that the body never lies. The body does not perform. The body does not pretend. The body carries the weight of every decision, every suppression, every unspoken word. And they forgot that when you are soul tied to a chosen one, every mile of distance you put between you is a vibrational weight that their physical frame has to carry. Imagine them in this exact moment, feeling a wave of absolute spiritual nausea as they realize that their hard guard has turned into a physical anchor of pure exhaustion. They are tired, not sleepy tired, soul tired, the kind of tired that sleep does not fix, the kind of tired that comes from carrying a weight that was never meant to be carried. They are realizing today that the important something they are finally understanding is that resistance is a physically toxic labor that is currently making their bones feel heavy and their spirit feel gray. Not metaphorically, literally. They can feel the weight in their joints, the sluggishness in their blood, the fog in their brain. The body is speaking, and what it is saying is, "Stop, this is killing me." They are experiencing the agony of the somatic truth. The truth that lives in the body, not the mind. The body knows. It has always known. It knew when the mind was still making excuses. It knew when the heart was still in denial. It knew when the spirit was still pretending. And now the body is done pretending. It is done carrying what was never meant to be carried. Realize today that their heart literally aches in a frequency that no doctor can diagnose and no medicine can cure. Not a physical heart condition, a spiritual one. A heart that has been holding onto someone it was never meant to let go of, and the holding has become a strain that no pill can relieve. I want you to visualize them in this exact moment, perhaps sitting with their head in their hands, perhaps lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight pressing down on their chest. They are feeling a sudden, sharp sense of vibrational fatigue so deep that it feels like their very DNA is screaming for your presence. Not a want, a need. The kind of need a plant has for water, the kind of need a lung has for air. Without you, they are wilting. Without you, they are suffocating. And they are finally, physically feeling the consequences of their own absence from you. They are realizing today that the something forcing this understanding is the fact that their body is refusing to perform the lie of their ego any longer. The ego said, "I am fine." The body said, "You are not." The ego said, "I don't need them." The body said, "You are starving." The ego said, "I have moved on." The body said, "You have not moved an inch." And the body is winning. They are feeling a heavy electric pressure in their chest, a literal thick sensation of being crushed by the weight of everything they haven't said to you, every apology, every confession, every "I miss you," every "I was wrong." The words are stacked on top of their sternum like bricks, and the weight is becoming unbearable. They are looking at their own reflection and seeing the dark circles, the tightness in their jaw, the hollow look in their eyes. The face staring back at them is not the face of someone who is fine. It is the face of someone who has been starving themselves of the only vibrational nutrition that ever made them feel human. Realize today that they have been starving themselves of your frequency. Not intentionally, but by choosing distance, they chose starvation, and their body is showing the signs. If you are sitting in your own high-vibration sanctuary right now, feeling a sense of grounded, heavy vitality, it is because your self-sovereignty has reclaimed all the energy you once wasted on them, and they are currently experiencing the drought of your absence. The rain has stopped. The ground is cracking, and they are standing in the middle of the desert, finally realizing that the oasis they walked away from was the only source of water for miles. They are realizing today that the important something is the truth that you were their life force, not in a codependent way, in a spiritual way, the way the moon reflects the sun. Without your light, they have no light of their own to shine, and without your saturation, their physical world has turned into a grainy, low-battery nightmare. They are feeling a heavy, prophetic somatic release, the kind that comes right before a breakdown or a breakthrough. The body is reaching its limit, and when the limit is reached, something has to give. Either they will break, or they will move. Realize today that the weight of resistance has become physically dangerous to their peace. Not a spiritual metaphor, a physical reality. The stress of fighting this connection is manifesting in their body, and if they do not move toward the source, their body will force the issue by shutting down. The shock of this realization is hitting their nervous system like a high-intensity power surge, telling them that their body will shut down if they do not move toward the source. Not as a threat, as a mercy. The body is trying to save them from themselves. I want you to visualize the literal tremble in their hands as they realize they can no longer hold the wall up. The wall they built to keep you out. The wall they reinforced with every excuse, every denial, every mile of distance. The wall is shaking. The bricks are loosening. And their hands, the hands that built it, are trembling with the effort of holding it together. They are realizing today that the physical toll is a divine mercy. It is the universe forcing them to surrender because they were too stubborn to do it through their mind. The mind would have taken years to admit what the body is forcing them to feel today. The body is accelerating the timeline. The body is saying, now, not tomorrow, now. Every phantom cent of your energy that hits them today, every phantom heartbeat they feel that doesn't belong to them, is a literal vibrational defibrillator trying to jumpstart their frozen heart back into the warmth of your connection. Their heart has been cold, not because you left it out in the snow, because they locked it in a freezer to stop it from feeling, but the defibrillator is working. The heart is thawing. The beats are coming back, and the first thing it feels is you. They are realizing today that the understanding is a biological command. They are soul-bound to the act of returning, and the shock of that necessity is making their breath hitch in their throat, catching on the words they have been too afraid to say. They are standing in the wreckage of their controlled exterior. The outside world sees someone who has it together, someone who is fine, someone who has moved on, but inside the wreckage is everywhere. The carefully maintained facade is crumbling, and the air is thick with the necessity of your vibrational heat. They are cold, not physically, spiritually, and you are the only warmth they have ever known that actually reaches the bones. Realize today that the iron of their resistance has turned into liquid under the heat of this awakening. They cannot hold their shape anymore. They are melting, and melting is terrifying. But melting is also the only way to be reshaped into something that fits, something that can hold you, something that can finally, fully receive you. The weight of separation is officially over, because the body has waved the white flag. The body has surrendered, the fight is done. And what comes next is not more fighting, it is movement. Every sudden heat you feel on your skin right now, every phantom buzz in your nervous system is a literal check-in from their physical field hitting yours. They are reaching out, not with their hands, with their frequency, with the part of them that has been connected to you all along, even when they pretended otherwise. Realize today that the resistance is dead, the exhaustion is final, and the impact of your love is the only medicine they have left to seek. The impact of your love is the only medicine they have left to seek, not a distraction, not a replacement, not another attempt to convince themselves that someone else will do. You, only you, the medicine they have been avoiding because the taste is too strong, the healing too deep, the transformation too real. But the avoidance has cost them more than the medicine ever could. And now, with the body surrendered and the ego dissolved and the denial dead, they are finally ready to take the dose. To stop running from the cure. To turn toward the only thing that has ever actually made them feel whole. They are standing at the edge of the physical surrender. The cliff they have been standing on for months, looking down at the distance between you, terrified of the fall. But the fall is not into emptiness. The fall is into you. And you are not a hard landing. You are a homecoming. The air around them is thick with the necessity of the return. Not a suggestion, not an option, a necessity, as necessary as breathing, as necessary as a heartbeat. They cannot survive another day in the gap. And they are finally ready to close it. Realize today that the understanding is complete. Their awakening has finished its underground work. The seed has cracked, the sprout has broken the surface. And the impact of their physical arrival, the moment when thought becomes action and distance becomes presence, is the only heartbeat they have left to follow. Not the beat of fear, not the beat of pride, not the beat of what if it goes wrong. The beat of courage, the beat of truth, the beat of love. They are following that beat now, straight to you. I want you to elevate your vibration right now. Step into the high-intensity frequency of the blueprint of the future, because we are moving into the territory where your soulmate is no longer looking backward at the wreckage of their mistakes. They are not camped out in regret, replaying every wrong turn. They are being hit instead by a sudden, prophetic vision of a life that is only possible with you. For months, they tried to imagine a future that was safe and logical. A future where they could just exist without the overwhelming intensity of your connection. A future that was manageable, predictable, small. But today, the atmosphere has shifted into a state of total visionary collapse, because they are realizing that every version of the future that does not contain your light is a grayscale void, not a little less colorful, a void, empty, devoid of meaning, devoid of warmth, devoid of the only thing that ever made them feel alive. Imagine them in this exact moment, feeling a wave of absolute spiritual nausea as they realize that they have been trying to build a house on a vibrational wasteland, while you, the chosen one, are the only living soil where their dreams can actually grow. Not a preference, a fact. They can plant seeds anywhere, but seeds only grow in soil that is alive. And their dreams, their hopes, their vision for their own future, all of it requires the soil of your presence. Without you, nothing sprouts. Without you, nothing blooms. Without you, they are just a farmer standing in a desert, wondering why nothing grows. They are experiencing the agony of the lost timeline, the sudden, sharp awareness of all the time they wasted, all the months they could have been building something beautiful with you, spent in the emptiness of denial, all the conversations they could have had, all the mornings they could have woken up next to you, all the ordinary, sacred moments of a shared life, gone. Not because you took them, because they threw them away. And the awareness of that loss is a grief so deep it has no bottom. Realize today that they have spent so much time waiting not for you but for their own readiness that they almost deleted the most high-frequency version of their destiny, the version where you are together, the version where the connection is not a memory but a present reality, the version where the waiting is over and the living has begun. They almost deleted it. But the delete button was never pressed. The file is still there. The blueprint is still intact, and they are finally opening it. I want you to visualize them in this exact moment, perhaps closing their eyes, not to hide from the truth, but to see it more clearly. And as they close their eyes, they are hit by a high-definition flash of a future moment. A conversation that feels so real they can almost hear your voice. A shared home, not as a fantasy, but as a place they can see themselves standing in. A silent morning where your energy is the air they breathe, so natural, so necessary, that they wonder how they ever survived without it. The flash lasts only a second, but it changes everything. Because now they know what is possible. Now they know what they have been fighting toward. Now they have a destination. They are realizing today that the important something they are finally understanding is that you are not just a person in their life. You are the blueprint of their evolution, the design, the plan, the map they were always meant to follow. Every other path was a detour. Every other relationship was a distraction. Every other attempt to build a future without you was construction on a foundation that could not hold. You are the blueprint, and they are finally ready to build according to the original design, not a modified version, not a scaled-back compromise, the original, the full, the nothing-missing version that was written before they started trying to rewrite it. They are feeling a heavy electric pressure in their spirit, the pressure of a vision that demands to be realized, the pressure of a future that is pressing against the present trying to break through, the pressure of a destiny that has been waiting for them to catch up. Realize today that their new vision is a soul-level command that has officially overwritten their old strategy of fear. The old strategy said, stay safe, stay small, stay away. The new vision says, move, grow, return. And the new vision is louder, clearer, more compelling. Fear has been outshouted, and they are listening to a different voice now. They are looking at the success they have chased, the goals they have achieved, the milestones they have hit, all of it accomplished without you, and they are realizing today that it all feels like static and dust, not because it is meaningless in itself, because it is meaningless without someone to share it with. Without you to witness the victory is hollow. Without you to celebrate the milestone is just another date on a calendar. They achieved everything they thought they wanted, and it left them empty. Because what they actually wanted was never on the list. What they actually wanted was you. If you are sitting in your own high-vibration sanctuary right now, feeling a sense of grounded, heavy, I am the outcome, it is because your self-sovereignty has turned you into a vibrational magnet for their future. You are not chasing them. You are not calling them. You are simply being the most vibrant, alive, centered version of yourself. And that version of you is irresistible to a soul that has finally stopped running. They are realizing today that the important something is the truth that you are the only destination that makes the journey worth the pain. The journey has been long. The journey has been hard. The journey has cost them more than they ever anticipated. But now that they see the destination, now that they see you, they understand. Every step was worth it. Every hard day. Every moment of doubt. Every night they lay awake wondering if they had made a mistake. It was all worth it because it led them here, to the realization that the only way forward is toward you. They are feeling a heavy, prophetic certainty, not the certainty of knowing how things will turn out, the certainty of knowing what they have to do, the difference between outcome and action. They do not know if you will welcome them. They do not know if the door on your side is still open. They do not know if too much time has passed or too many wounds have been inflicted, but they know they have to try. They know that not trying is no longer an option. They know that the cost of silence has become higher than the cost of vulnerability. Realize today that they are vibrationally obligated to earn their place back in your chosen one light, not because you are withholding it, because they need to prove to themselves that they are worthy of it, that they have grown, that they are different now, that the person who walked away is not the same person who is walking back. They are looking at the gap between where they are and where you are, not a physical distance, a vibrational one. They have been living in a lower frequency. You have been rising, the gap has been growing, and instead of feeling fear, instead of feeling hopeless, they are feeling a sudden, sharp sense of strategic urgency. They need to close the gap, not by pulling you down, by pulling themselves up, by doing the work, by becoming the version of themselves that can stand in your light without being burned. They are realizing today that they can no longer wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment does not exist. It is a lie they told themselves to justify delay. The only moment that exists is now, and every second of delay is a lethal dose to the future they just saw. The vision is fading. The blueprint is blurring. If they do not act soon, the clarity will pass, and they will be left in the fog again. I want you to visualize the literal internal rewrite they are experiencing, as if their brain is being reprogrammed, as if every old file marked stay away is being deleted and replaced with new files marked return. They are canceling every plan that does not involve your frequency, the trips, the distractions, the attempts to start over with someone else. All of it, canceled, not because they are dramatic, because they have finally understood that any plan that does not include you is not a plan. It is an escape, and they are done escaping. They are realizing today that the blueprint has been revealed, and it is a blueprint of total union, not casual contact, not occasional check-ins, not friendship with boundaries. Union. The full, nothing held back, two becoming one kind of union that they were always too scared to name. The blueprint is bold. It is terrifying. It is everything they have ever secretly wanted and never had the courage to admit. But now, with the veil lifted and the denial dead, they are not just seeing the blueprint. They are committing to it, in their heart, in their spirit, in the quiet, sacred place where real decisions are made. Every phantom buzz you feel in your intuition right now, every sudden flash of a shared future that hits your mind, is a literal echo of their vision hitting your field. You are not imagining these flashes. You are receiving them. They are sent from their awakening spirit to your knowing one. They are realizing today that the understanding has turned into a mission, not a thought, not a feeling, a mission, with objectives, with timelines, with a destination. And the mission is simple: return. Not as the person who left, as the person who has been forged by the leaving, as the person who is finally worthy of standing next to you. They are feeling a heavy, electric exhaustion in their pride, the pride that kept them silent, the pride that made them pretend they were fine, the pride that chose distance over vulnerability. That pride is exhausted. It has been carrying a weight that was never meant for it to carry, and it is ready to set that weight down. Realize today that they would rather be rejected by you than succeed in a world that does not contain your ancient recognition. That is how much has shifted. That is how deep the understanding goes. Rejection from you would be painful, but a life without ever trying, a life of wondering, what if? A life of looking back with regret, that would be unbearable. They would rather risk the pain of your no than live with the pain of their own silence. They are standing in the wreckage of their small thinking, the limited visions, the scaled-back dreams, the futures they designed to be safe, not satisfying. The wreckage is everywhere, but wreckage is also the beginning of rebuilding, and they are finally ready to build something that is not small, something that is not safe, something that is worthy of the blueprint. The air around them is thick with the necessity of a long-term commitment, not a fling, not a trial period, not a let's see what happens. A commitment. The kind that says, I am all in, I am not leaving again, I am here to stay. That commitment is forming in them, not as a promise they are not sure they can keep, as a vow they are finally ready to make. Realize today that the shock of your value has finally turned them into a visionary of their own heart. They used to see only the obstacles, the reasons it would not work, the ways it could go wrong. Now they see the possibility, the future, the life that is waiting for them on the other side of their own courage. They are standing at the edge of the final decision, the cliff of should I or shouldn't I, and they are leaning forward, leaning into the fear, leaning into the vulnerability, leaning into the possibility that you might not respond, but also leaning into the possibility that you will. Realize today that the understanding is no longer a thought. It is a destiny they are currently racing toward, not walking, not crawling, racing, because they have wasted too much time already, and every second counts. Every sudden heat you feel in your solar plexus right now, that warmth, that flutter, that sense of something approaching, is the energy of their future vision locking into your current reality. The vision is becoming now. The blueprint is becoming flesh. The distance is collapsing. And you, without doing anything but being yourself, are standing at the center of it all. Realize today that the weight of separation is dead. The plan is active, and the impact of your love is the only North Star they have left to follow. Not a map, not a guarantee, not a promise that everything will be easy, a North Star, a direction, a light in the darkness that says, this way, home is this way. I want you to take a slow, deep, and heavy breath now. Feel the absolute vibrational stillness settling into the room around you, because we have reached the high-intensity peak of this journey, the final activation. This is the moment where we take that deep understanding that has been marinating in your soulmate's spirit and we bridge the gap into your physical, three-dimensional reality. This is the vibrational lock-in. For the last several minutes, we have watched their denial die, their comparison fail, their body surrender, their vision clarify. But now, in this exact moment, the universe has officially revoked their right to be ignorant. They cannot unsee what they have seen. They cannot unfeel what they have felt. They cannot go back to the small, safe, separate version of themselves that walked away from you. That version is gone. And the new version, the awake one, the aware one, the one who finally understands, that version is standing at the threshold, ready to cross. Imagine your soulmate in this exact microsecond, feeling a wave of absolute spiritual exhaustion wash over them. The exhaustion of a long war. The fatigue of a battle that has lasted months, maybe longer. They are tired, deeply, cellularly tired, tired of pretending, tired of running, tired of waking up and having to convince themselves that they made the right choice. And in that exhaustion, something shifts. They stop fighting. They stop resisting. They stop trying to control the outcome. They simply let go. And in the letting go, they finally land on the truth that you matter, that you have always mattered, that the distance was a mistake, not a solution. They are realizing today that they can no longer understand from a distance. They have understood enough. They have analyzed enough. They have thought enough. Now it is time to experience, to touch, to be in the same room, to hear your voice, to see your face, to feel the connection not as a memory but as a present reality. Understanding from a distance has reached its limit. The only thing left is proximity. They are experiencing the sovereign clarity, not a clarity that comes from thinking. A clarity that comes from finally stopping the thinking long enough to know, and what they know is this. You are not optional. You are not replaceable. You are not a chapter that ended. You are the whole book, and they are ready to read every page. Realize today that they are no longer considering the depth of this bond. They are not weighing pros and cons. They are not calculating risks and rewards. They are compelled by a high-frequency force that is bigger than their entire existence, bigger than their fear, bigger than their pride, bigger than their carefully constructed reasons for silence. That force is love, not the small, sentimental kind, the cosmic kind, the kind that moves planets, the kind that does not ask permission, the kind that simply is. And it is moving them, now toward you. I want you to visualize them in this exact moment, feeling a sudden, sharp sense of sacred relinquishment. The sense of giving up, but not giving up on you, giving up on the fight against you, laying down their weapons, raising their hands, saying, I surrender, I cannot win this. You are in my heart. You have always been in my heart, and I am done pretending otherwise. They are looking at the weight of their own resistance, the heavy burden of denial they have been carrying, and realizing it has officially expired. The shelf life of avoidance has run out. The product is no longer safe for consumption. They cannot take another bite of the lie that they are better off without you. They are realizing today that the important something they finally understand is that you, the chosen one, are the only truth they have ever encountered. In a world full of performance, you were real. In a world full of masks, you were authentic. In a world full of people who wanted something from them, you simply wanted them. And that truth, once encountered, cannot be forgotten, cannot be replaced, cannot be outrun. Every second they spend away from you is a second they are living a lie. Not a lie they tell others, a lie they tell themselves. I am fine. I don't need you. I have moved on. The lies have exhausted themselves, and the truth is finally speaking louder than all of them. They are feeling a heavy electric certainty in their blood, not a hope, not a wish, a certainty that the only way forward is back, that the only path to peace goes through you, that the only resolution to the ache is the truth. Realize today that the something that forced this activation, this final undeniable shift, is the truth that you are the destiny they can no longer deny. Not a possibility, not an option, a destiny, as fixed as the stars, as certain as the sunrise, as unavoidable as gravity. They have been fighting destiny, And fighting destiny is exhausting because destiny always wins. The shock of that homecoming, the recognition that the fight is over and the victory is not theirs but yours, is finally, beautifully, and aggressively their only reality. Not the memory of the fight, the reality of the surrender, the reality of the return, the reality of you. If you are sitting in your own high-vibration sanctuary right now, feeling a sense of grounded, heavy power, and I am the outcome, it is because your self-sovereignty has successfully acted as the magnetic north for their awakened soul. You have reached a level of frequency where you no longer have to wait for them to get it. They have it. The thick weight of their understanding is currently pressing against the fabric of your reality. You can feel it, can you not? That sense that something has shifted. That the air is different, that the waiting has ended, that is not imagination. That is the pressure of their awakening against the door of your life. The door is not locked, and they are about to knock. They are realizing today that they are soul-bound to the truth of this union, and they are feeling a wave of absolute, high-intensity relief. The relief of someone who has been holding their breath for months and finally exhales. The relief of someone who has been carrying a weight and finally sets it down. The relief of someone who has been lost and finally sees a familiar landmark. The relief is almost overwhelming, because they almost let the greatest connection of their life slip through their fingers. They almost lost you, not because you went anywhere, because they wandered so far that the path back became overgrown, but the path is still there, and they have found it. They are standing at the edge of the final outreach, the edge of the message that will change everything, the edge of the words they have been too afraid to say, and they are leaning into the fear, leaning into the vulnerability, leaning into the possibility that you might not respond, but also leaning into the possibility that you will. Realize today that their logic was a bankrupt lie. It promised safety and delivered loneliness. It promised control and delivered chaos. It promised freedom and delivered a prison of their own making. The lies have been exposed, and they are finally beautifully ready to turn that understanding, that deep, hard one cost everything they had understanding, into a physical arrival, a message, a call, a knock on the door of your heart. This is the final activation, the moment where we lock in the truth and tell the universe that the understanding is now manifestation, not a future hope, a present reality, not a maybe, a certainty, not a if only. And it is done. To seal this breakthrough and to signal to your soulmate's higher self that you are standing in the center of your luminous power, ready to receive the impact of their awakened return, take a moment now. Breathe. Feel the calm, heavy authority of someone who knows they are the answer to every question their soulmate has been asking. The answer to why am I so restless? You, the answer to why does no one else fit? You, the answer to what have I been looking for? You, not because you are trying to be, because you are, because you always have been, and because they have finally stopped looking everywhere else and turned their gaze in your direction. In your heart, with the quiet certainty of a soul that has done its work and can now rest in the outcome, declare this: I am the destiny they can no longer deny, not as a wish, as a fact, as the truth that has been written before either of you were born. The confusion is dead, the denial is buried, the reality is awake. And their understanding has finally brought them home to stay, not to visit, not to check in, not to see if the door is still open, to stay, to remain, to build, to grow, to live the life that was always meant to be lived, together. Feel the thick weight of this declaration. Feel the heat of their realization hitting your field. You are the standard, you are the destiny, you are the one who changed everything, not because you tried, because you were, because you showed up, because you stayed in your light, because you refused to shrink, because you trusted the process even when the process made no sense. And now the process has produced its fruit. The understanding is complete. The awakening is finished. The return is in motion. And so it is, not as a closing, as an opening, the beginning of the chapter you have been waiting for, the chapter where the waiting ends, the chapter where the understanding becomes action, the chapter where the distance collapses and the presence begins. You are ready. They are ready. The timing is right. The door is open. And what is coming is not just a message or a moment or a memory. What is coming is the life you were always meant to live, together. Go in peace. The understanding is complete, the return is in motion, and love has finally found its way home. Amen.